Now, this is a special session to celebrate another aspect of the Armourers Brasiers, which is our annual Venture Prize. Started in 2008 when I was master. Since then, we've given this award of 25k every year. And last year we missed as we did the forum, but we're back on track this year. We've had a great competition, and we're going to declare a winner, and the winner's going to tell you about it. But I'm not going to talk about it because this year our master has been one of us. He's been a materials scientist. And I think in our nearly 700 years, there have been 3 material scientists. We have had more bishops as masters than material scientists. And I'm very pleased to introduce our current master, Mike Goulette. And again, Mike has enjoyed this afternoon because for many years he headed the materials department at Rolls-Royce. So all the talks, all the references to aerospace is music to his ears. And actually, en passant, we had a glimpse into the reason why Mike is a modern materials pioneer, because the reference to the single crystal turbine blade actually references the work that Mike led at Rolls-Royce, and for which, before he became a member of the company, he received the Royal Society Armourers and Brasiers Medal, because to recognize that you minimized high temperature creep by getting rid of grain boundaries in turbine blade materials was one of those seminal moments, and we've heard a lot this afternoon, Ailey Bedford and the other people talking about innovation. That is Mike. So Mike, I'm going to pass to you to do the honors, and so over to you.
Thank you very much, Bill. Well, what I'm going to do before I talk about the Venture Prize this year is say a little bit about the Armourers Brasiers Company and our history. So the Armourers Brasiers Livery Company is one of the 120 livery companies of the City of London. But our origins go back much further than that. The original Guild of the Armourers was established back in 1322, and it was established to regulate the trade in arms and armour in and around the City of London, but also to train apprentices, so that it was training people to come into the business to make arms and armour, and also to look after the welfare of its members. So back in the early 14th century, the armourers were in the City of London, making steel, forging steel, and turning that into arms and armour. But we didn't just make it and provide it to our customers. We also had a product support organisation, which is very important, as we all know these days. So the armourers were at Agincourt, for example, supporting the English army in their battles with the French, some of which, as we heard earlier on, still seem to go on these days. But maybe ultimately we'll make friends with the French. I don't know. But clearly, as demand for armour started to fade away because people invented effective ballistic weapons which could penetrate the armour, the business of arms and armour for the early guild faded away, and we joined with the Brasiers, who worked in brass and copper, in order to have a more effective and profitable trade going forward. So that's when the Guild of the Armourers became the worshipful company of the Armourers and Brasiers. But much later on, in the 19th century, together with some like-minded other livery companies in the city, and also with the City Corporation, we co-founded the City and Guilds Institute for technical training of young people to go into technical trades. And as we all know, the City and Guilds is still very active these days and very much involved in technical training. And then in the following century, in the 20th century, around the middle of the 20th century, we refocused our activities and our charitable activities on supporting metallurgy and then on to material science. And in the 21st century, we now support material science education from school level through to postgraduate and beyond through our charitable trust, the Gauntlet Trust. As I said, we started in 1322, so next year, in 2022, that's our 700th anniversary. And as a lasting legacy of that anniversary, we've just endowed the Armourers and Brasiers Chair in Material Science at Imperial College. And we're very pleased to welcome Professor Mary Ryan, as the first holder of that chair at Imperial. And of course, that chair is endowed in perpetuity, so there will be many of those professors of material science at Imperial in times to come. But as Bill said, our support of material science is not just charitable. And as Bill said, since 2008, we've awarded an annual venture prize of £25,000 to a startup company in the material science field. The only year that we missed was last year because of the pandemic, but this year we got back on track again. And one of the key parts of the awarding of this prize is that we like to interview the shortlisted applicants for the prize face to face, and normally we do that in our hall in the city. But this time we did it actually online, and we were able to choose a winner. And I'm going to announce the winner in a few moments. But just to show how effective this prize has been over the years, we still have a number of those companies that we've given prizes to over the years who are building momentum and are growing very substantially. And last year, one of those winners, a company called Syracuse, were bought out, and that returned profit back to our prize fund. And Syracuse developed a nanosynthetic bone graft material, and last year they were acquired by a Swedish medical technology company. And we were very pleased to see that, because that's what the ultimate aim is for these companies that we're helping to kickstart to actually become successful and to grow. So I'm very, very delighted to be able to announce that this year's winner of the Armourers Brasiers Venture Prize is a company called MetaSonixx. And that's represented here today by Dr. Gianluca Memoli, and he's going to tell us briefly about what Metasonics is all about. So I need to hand over now to Gianluca.
Thanks, Mike, and Bill for inviting me, and I'm absolutely thrilled by the opportunity of telling you something about my company. So I've been told to be brief, and so I'll try to. Right. So Metasonixx is a company, it's a startup, as you heard, and like many startups, it starts from universities. And Metasonixx starts from a collaboration between the universities of Sussex in Brighton and Bristol. And what we do is we engineer materials that give unprecedented control on sound and noise. So to give you an idea of how you could use our materials, imagine a warm summer day with your windows open, and suddenly a noise outside. Now, if you are familiar with the frustration of trying to decide whether to close your windows or to put headphones on, well, you are not alone. Because 40% of people in Europe is exposed at home or at work to noise levels that are below the threshold for doing something about it, but sufficient to cause annoyance and stress. Imagine a day in an open office, if we ever get back there, when your best mate on the other side of the separation is on the phone all day. So what you do in this case is, the traditional solution is putting a wall, something between the noise and the listener. Or, more and more nowadays, getting headphones which do noise cancellation. Well, what we do, being a material company, is we take normal materials like wood, plastic or metal, we add a pinch of engineering and design, and we transform them in what are called metamaterials. In particular, acoustic metamaterials. So objects which have properties like they are not natural. So they don't exist in nature. And you can use them to do noise cancellation or sound manipulation. When I say sound manipulation, I'm thinking about lenses, very small lenses for sound, or even holographic plates, or moire plates like the ones that we saw in the past talk. So our solution, instead of adding material, is taking it out, carving it. And so you see one of our material here, and you can see that actually in some cases you can even pass the fingers through. So how does it work? In 2017, we discovered that you just need 16 predefined shapes to make any shape to give to sound any shape you want. Just like you need 26 letters to make any word, you need 16 types of bricks assembled in blueprints, which you target to customers' uses to give sound any shape you might want. Just like in an IKEA blueprint. So our solutions are hollow, so they are lighter than traditional panels, are tunable to different sources, and can also allow air and light through if desired. Sounds perfect for the Windows scenario, right? So what you do with them is you assemble them. So you can take a do-it-yourself approach, like in this case. And we heard Professor Ross just a few seconds before telling us that actually also that's how you control stacking or at the nanoscale. And then you have to characterize them. And existing techniques don't work for metamaterials. So you have to invent something new to characterize them. Now, what you see here, so I'll change my window. Well, I'll do the sound for you. So we use this in a project, in a very recent project in hospitals. And that's in intensive care units, the noise due to the pandemic has increased and created an environment which is terrible to bear for patients and staff. You cannot sort it out with current technologies. And that's why we used acoustic metamaterials to sort out the problem. We designed panels which are very light to move and that can let air and light through if desired. What do we want to do with them? Well, we want to use them in air conditioning, in automotive, in open offices, and eventually in people's homes. So I spoke about air conditioning, and so they can take the shape, our materials, of the grill that you put in front of a fan, of a electrical vent, or even of the grill that you find in every hotel room at the end of the air conditioning channel, or in the car where the air conditioning comes out. And what we are doing as a company at the moment is we have our prototypes, we have our design, and thanks to this prize, we'll be able to test them at large scale. And then we will be looking for investors to back up a blind that allows air and light through. A blind for sound that you can use everywhere. Now, at the end of my talk, I want to give you an idea of this, how this is just the tip of the iceberg. Because if you can bend sound around objects, what you see here is a metamaterial with a loudspeaker at the bottom and sound which is made visible by dry ice. Then what you can do is you can embed this technology in other products. And so these are three of the recent projects that we are either starting or we have finished. And so either you want to make a robot which is used to sanitize industrial plants from COVID, or whether you want to do a silent tire, or whether you want to create areas for drivers to have some respite from traffic noise, metamaterials can help. Or you can start thinking about areas of silence inside discos. You can think about cars where you can send different sounds to passengers and drivers. You can think about transforming a speaker into a spotlight. You can think about delivering sound just to one person. Or maybe, like some of my students or my collaborators are doing at the moment, you can design tunable instruments in which you can change, by turning different bits or different metamaterials, the emission of your guitar. So metamaterials are changing the way we are designing, experiencing, and thinking about sound. And we, MetaSonixx, are providing the first tools to transform the way we live with sound, transform sound in a commodity. So join us for the future. Let's work together. Let's imagine this future. Let's design it. And because in all the talks that I have heard today, which were amazing, everyone started by telling about their PhD. I have a slide here which shows you how my PhD started as training for an astronaut, doing experiments in microgravity, in reduced gravity, in building structures that would eventually be used and grow in a different way. Sometimes the path is long. I met sound and I fell in love with it, and now I'm trying to build a future with it. And that's the end of my talk. And I'm open to questions if I have time for them.
No questions. You've promoted enough interest. We don't take questions on this
Well,
call.
so let me say thank you again to Mike and Bill and all the Guild of the Armourers for allowing us to be here today. Yeah, I'm really thrilled and emotionally touched.
Well, again, congratulations from us. Thank you to the master. But Gianluca, I think your enthusiasm has captured where we've been all the afternoon. This has been the common theme of the forum. And with that level of drive, I'm sure you're going to do us all proud. So thank you all very much. Thank you for attending. And with that, we close this session and move on.